you sealed the cylinder it's in and varied the pressure, the air pressure on the surface, that egg would rise and fall. So even though there's no lid on either of those cylinders, there's still, you know, an imaginary lid, our room, our atmosphere, our air pressure. And really, like a submarine, if you change the air pressure above and don't change the buoyancy in your tanks, well, your sub will go up or down. It's the same thing with the egg. The egg actually has a little air pocket in one end. And the second thing is the Coriolis killer. There's one vid of a gentleman who shoots a 50 cal rifle straight into the air, and the round trip for the bullet is 1 minute and 50 seconds till it lands basically at his feet. Well, that should be 30 miles of movement of shooter and gun.
I've seen that.
At the equator, yeah. So that's a Coriolis killer. They claim that at 1,200 yards, shooting horizontally, you have to calculate this Coriolis nonsense. But yet you shoot with 1 minute and 50 seconds in its frame of reference. The Earth doesn't move under it.
Who was it who did that? It was a TV program, and they were testing out the most powerful rifles, and they were trying to shoot straight up. So they essentially aimed, fired it. They heard, I think they fired off 4 shots, and they heard 2 of them land.
Yeah, helicopters sound like.
Yeah, that was right. And they found one of them, which was no more than 20 or 30 feet away from them. I mean, when I saw that, I was blown away.
Yeah, at 45 degrees where I am, it should move me and my rifle 16 miles away.
But we know that the air doesn't move. I mean, essentially, if we was to jump up in the air, like the high jump or something like that, even though we're actually in the air for just 0.2 of a second, you know, yeah, we should have traveled 30 feet or something, you know, I mean.
Yeah, the Palumbo artillery guide and stuff, the Palumbo PDF, they say all of that's considered for artillery, rockets, everything, as a stationary Earth, non-moving flat Earth with a stationary mass of air above it.
So, well, maybe they're trying to say that the power of the Coriolis effect isn't the same as in, you know, like obviously it's moving at a certain speed, but it doesn't have the same force against the plane. So if the Coriolis effect is against the plane, moving against the plane, but it doesn't have the same force as the plane, it might be a marginal difference between the two.
If you pull a paddle through the water very straight, it forms these currents equal on either side of the paddle in opposite directions. It's just distribution of force. If there's a Coriolis going clockwise somewhere, there has to be equal Coriolis somewhere else going counterclockwise. It don't matter what side of the equator you're on. If you look, you'll see some rotation clockwise and some smaller ones going counter.
The Coriolis effect is a myth, absolutely.
Yeah, absolute myth. And both sides of the equator, it turns both ways. You know, you can have
the Coriolis effect. Hold on, the Coriolis effect isn't a myth. You can produce the Coriolis effect on a merry-go-round.
Swirling water, swirling
air. The Coriolis effect is a myth on the Earth.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's almost like an entailment, like when you open your door after a hot shower and the room in the house is cold, you see a little tornado for a second or two when you open the door. You know, the mixing of hot and cold causes a swirling. They blend that way.
Turbulence. That's what storms are made out of.
Yeah.
Tornadoes.
Well, and they try to use it to associate with mostly the weather phenomenons too. I mean, they had to get rid of the whole toilet experiment, saying, okay, they don't spin opposite in each hemisphere, and because what would toilets do on the equator? So I think it's ridiculous, and
some are made to flush straight down now.
Right,
so they don't put as much stuff in the air. Yeah, really.
Well, no, nobody knows. Listen, let me tell you something. 95% of the population, when they say Coriolis effect, it's like Pavlov's dog. Yep. All they do is say, they have no idea what they're talking about. They just say, well, the clouds spin in different directions, right?
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and there's also a PayPal link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Arwin, Chocolate Saiyan, Flat Earth Head. That's we got John, Ranty, Sleeping Warrior, Stiggy, and Adam. I assume it's Walt. It is Walt, isn't it?
It is. Walt Flat Earth. Flat Earth.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hello
Late
again.
Flat Earth Debate.
We're gonna head over for everyone, hopefully.
Hello, Nate. Sorry, I was trying to get my mute straight. I haven't been on Hangouts in so long. We use Skype, so I was fumbling to find where the mute button was. Yes, it's Walt. Flat Earth Head. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it so much. Good to have you.
Good chat about Coriolis in the break.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We only got halfway through the housekeeping. I think we got as far as a pressurized system next to a vacuum, but that did actually get covered. But nobody brought up M. Scott Veach, son of an astronaut, or actual living astronaut Buzz Aldrin. So I don't know if anyone wants to tackle that as the opening to the housekeeping, because we've covered curve and axial rotation in the last show, 373. So check it out if you want that bit of the housekeeping. But in the meantime, we'll move on to pressurized system next to a vacuum, which, as I say, did get touched on in the last show, but I think that's a good point to start off.
Right, so that's even theoretically completely impossible, no matter what you do.
Are you saying that even in your wildest fantasies, dreams, that you would never be able to come across a position where that would be possible?
Well, you can imagine it, but if you apply logic to it, no matter what angle you're using, it's never going to happen.
Well,
and I've tried.
We agree.
I even theorized, like, okay, if you centrifuge a closed room with air in it up to like eternal speeds, like so incredibly fast, it is just monstrous, like 100 million rotations a second, then even in that, a vacuum would not start to appear in the center point. Sorry,
Arwin, I'm not being disagreeable when I say this, but the RPM is kind of irrelevant. You know, super fast RPM is great, but it's more the rim speed, the edge velocity that counts. So when they talk about RPM with Earth, they're like, well, it's one rotation a day. It's nothing. It's really slow.
No,
You'd hardly notice it.
No, I'm not even. I'm just universally, like, is a vacuum next to a non-vacuum possible? And then I theorized, okay, maybe if you rotate something incredibly fast within a vacuum, or sorry, within a rotating chamber, then maybe a vacuum could appear. But the more I think about it, no, it's just never going to happen. There's going to be minimal pressure, maybe, but a vacuum, never. That's how I see it. So yeah, a vacuum next to a non-vacuum in an open system is just completely impossible, no matter what you do, no matter the setup.
I think just on a small scale experiment, you can't set up an object going from a non-pressure to a pressurized system.
Yeah. That's what my example was basically for.
Yeah.
Try to figure out, could it somehow be made possible? And I think just no, it's just not. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, these people think that the air gets thinner and thinner. And then you ask them, okay, well, when does the air stop? Like, when is the circumference of air? When does it stop? Is it the Kármán line? Because what is that? And then they say, well, it doesn't stop. It just spreads out. And then I had someone say that there's been air molecules millions of miles away, and that gravity's still pulling on it. Like these are the kind of people we're dealing with. They can't even answer you when the air stops, because yeah, it's almost like it's a different domino that just went down, but in a different direction, and they can't stop it.
Yeah, it's funny that you mention it, because when you talk about atmospherics, they will basically admit, okay, with the distance, like the total content of it, it will grade down. Like it will, let's just say, half every so distance. But if you do that, if you constantly halve the pressure, then technically it will never end.
Yeah, but wait a second. Where'd you get pressure
So
at?
if you put an eternal space out there in front of it, yeah, it's never gonna happen.
Where'd you get pressure?
Hang on, who's Flat Earth Baba?
Hey, how you doing? Can you hear us?
Speak up, please.
Gonna have to go, I think.
He's got his camera on. He's looking at us.
I cannot believe it. Ron Burgundy has just given me $2 in the super chat. No way.
Mark Taylor gave you $5.
It's his confession money.
What the hell is going on? Ballers are giving me money in the super chat. I'm absolutely
Mark
lost for
Taylor
words.
gave you $5.
What the hell is going on? It's the sun. It's the heat.
It's his
It must be.
confession money.
They missed you. They missed you.
We did have a gap made for George, and people in the chat are saying, "Don't do it, George." You know, I'm not going to shout at you. I'm not going to be horrible. Anyway, hopefully George will join.
Back to that discussion.
Yeah, do it, George.
Well, hang on, wait a minute. Mark Taylor, just wanted to say, Mark Taylor, I think he's paying you back, Anthony, because he owes you £1,000 or something, doesn't he? So maybe that's him starting to pay it off in instalments.
We'll call it 998 now then.
Well, while we're still on housekeeping,
Just
I'm
1,000 more
determined.
shows to go, and you'll have it back.
I'm determined to get to the end of housekeeping. So, any signs of R?
Arr.
I don't know actually. Who are? No.
I don't know any experiments to do it to find R.
Well, experiments is a dodgy word at the minute.
What? Yeah, I don't know.
Dodgy about experiments.
Ruler next to it.
Hold on, I've got it. That's a you. What? What is dodgy about experiments? Excuse me.
You can't manipulate the radius to prove the causal effect.
Oh, sorry. Correction then. Globehead experiments, in quotations, are dodgy.
Yeah.
Scientific experiments are just scientific experiments.
Where you have to independently manipulate the independent variable, right?
Well, it wouldn't be a scientific experiment if that didn't occur.
Oh, right. So what would it be? Would it just be like another story?
It would just be pseudoscience.
It's an affirmingly consequent form of logical fallacy.
If P, then Q, Q, therefore P.
Yep.
For example,
Yeah,
if we have a rotating Earth, hold on, Owen. If we have a rotating Earth, we will see a 15-degree turn in a gyro. We see a 15-degree turn in the gyro, therefore we have a rotating Earth. If P, then Q,
Kaboom.
Q, therefore P. Also, not limited to, if we have a rotating ether, we will see a gyroscope turn 15 degrees. We see a gyro turn 15 degrees, therefore we have a rotating ether. Utter horseshit. Affirming the consequent. Guilty flat earthers everywhere who do this.
Yep.
Nathan, we need to say you need to change the letters in the you know, when you say if P therefore Q, Q therefore P. You can't do P and Q.
J and Z.
Yeah, that's fine, because Channel Q gets all excited when you mention her name.
Curious.
That wailing witch.
Preceded by
kidding
if P. If P. Come on. If P, then Q. Well, if she
gets
can get
excited
excited
when you
about
say
that,
Q.
then she's got some sort of sexual deviance.
Yeah. So we need some other than P and Q.
Quick sec to bring it back to Coriolis. Did they think that the gyros are affected? So do they turn 15 degrees in one place of the Earth and then the opposite way in the other part of Earth?
Oh, that's a good one.
I mean, you know, and if what would happen on the equator? Because I feel like if the Coriolis is there and it's a ring laser, then why wouldn't it turn the opposite way?
I don't know. I'm very mystified by this whole concept of a gyro supposedly turning for whatever reason, because as far as I know, gyros, there is a way to basically change their direction, and that has been proven through their application in airplanes and such, and that is that they do seem to deviate with a sudden burst of force with a turn. and that's why the special valves were created, as it were. So that is just really weird.
Flat Arthur.
Hello.
Hello again.
Hello.
Good to have you. Can we hear you? No sound.
You know, I heard him, but it's very low sound.
Is he on cam?
So just for the benefit of the panel, George says he's going to join in 5 minutes.
5
He
minutes.
doesn't want a shit show. So I guess what we'll do is we'll let John have first blood, and then once that's out the way, if he's still here and survives, then we'll come back to the Ampere's law and the Boit-Sivart law.
Is Adam in the hangout? Because I don't want to kick this guy that's just joined while he sorts his sound out. If
Nathan, I was literally just typing. I'm off for me tea, guys, so I'll drop.
Get out.
I
kicked him out.
Okay.
Kicked Adam.
Just for fun.
Just for shit and giggles.
Just for
Right,
shit
George,
and
the
giggles.
panel is open.
Poor Adam.
Get in here, George.
bad.
I kicked a good friend just to have you in. No, I'm only joking. Adam, we all love you. It was just a joke. It's just for comedic effect, I promise.
Friendly kick in the balls.
It was just for comedic effect. I don't want to have to give any apologies. God damn it.
Hey, and Arwen, just notice that what just happened there, it was a joke, yeah?
Yeah.
We can't kick each other and be friendly about it. Well,
That's
maybe not
bullshit.
Just
That's
offer to
bullshit.
leave, so-
No. That's bullshit. Ranty owes Arwen an apology for that. I don't care what you say, Anthony.
No, that wasn't my point. My point was that we can give banter and it not be offensive.
Yeah, but Ranty kicked Arwen and it was like shooting
No, and
him
I
in the
agree with
face.
you. I agree. Ranty does owe Arwen an apology.
Not that we're going to do
Only
that
for
right
friendly
now.
fire.
If Ranty doesn't, no, it's not fair to just spring this on him and say demand him apologise. No way. But yeah,
You know that's
maybe
not going to happen anytime soon.
just ham-handed segue away from that right away, which is to say that people might be questioning why Brian Mullen's name's in this title. So I heard his name uttered by John a moment ago, or well, on the last show for people who are watching 374 on 373 is the cause and effect of why we have this title. So, John, can you explain what you have explained on 373, please?
Yes, well, I got it from a pretty good source that the whole ordeal that Brian Mullen went through, somebody contacted his employer, right, about his beliefs, I would suppose. And, of course, Brian Mullen didn't show up anymore after that. And as you know, he did a bunch of videos that was exposing these pretender clowns, right? Now, number one, it's a tell, because if Brian wasn't over the target, you know, launching Volkswagens at these guys and wasn't a threat, they wouldn't do anything. But it takes a real scumbag or scumbags to get together, dox the guy, and then go to his employer to try to smear him, to try to like censor him, right? Which they prevailed. So listen, I need to take a shower after this. It just irritates me so bad. I want to jump through this mic. And that George, that dog is smarter than you, brother. We have other unfinished business to go through. We're going to test your science acumen, clown, as soon as you come in here. So get ready.
Well, first things first, if he does and when he does join, I'm sure he will, he said he would.
Not gonna join,
No,
he's a puppy.
I hate to say this, John, no ad homs. Please don't call him a clown.
Okay.
But just try and keep it clean. I've promised John, normally I wouldn't care, but I've literally said to him on the last show, we'll be nice. So let's just try and be nice.
He said he didn't want a shit show, so let's not yell at him before he gets here.
I'll be nice, but the clown comment, that's not an ad hom. That is a clear conclusion as a result of assessments of our interactions of his claims to me. So let's just get that straight right now.
I'm sure that will become apparent.
We're not motivating him to come in.
But for those who are green to this show, shall we say, it may appear like an ad hominem attack in advance of your conversation with him. I'm sure that will become apparent.
Oh, yeah, it's going to become apparent.
I will go on mute. If he joins, I will go on mute, and I will stay on mute. And I'll just listen in.
Is this guy a teacher, or is he an educator? Does he teach science at school? The guy that you want to come in?
Yeah, he thinks he's a physicist or some baloney, doing his equations, right? Equations, math isn't physics, clown.
Well, I've found it curious in this whole thing that a lot of these people become like professional educators on the heliocentric model, and they don't like. Do they want to teach for a living the heliocentric model? I mean, some of them say it's a hobby, but how, like, is this something you love so much, or again, do you have to do this? Like, is he paid to do this? Is he paid to come in here and, or do you think he actually loves it so much he wants to teach everybody the heliocentric model?
Who knows what the intents and motives of these crayon munching globetards are? I can really care less. I'm just going with their claims. I've been told literally thousands of times, and I know most of the people on this in the flat Earth on this board or in this hangout have been told that according to the body of science, amen, that we have to deny all of science to believe in the flat Earth, right? We've all been told this.
Yeah, I get that all the time.
So I'm holding their feet to the fire. This is the feet to the fire.
Yeah, it's interesting because it's not that all science is being denied. It's in particular space. Space is the main thing. Space.
To be specific,
well, we're denying
flat earthers. Hold on, flat earthers do not say you deny space. It's very specific. There is no vacuum of space.
Right. I'm saying the concept of what space is, the space program, anything revolving it with gravity. That's the thing that alternate earthers, which I like to call, because flat earthers, we're past that now. We're not going to label. I mean, everybody's looking into their own earth and what it is. But yeah, I feel like we're not denying electricity. We're not denying magnetism.
Oh, George,
all right, hold on. He's here.
Hold on, everyone be quiet.
No,
Check it is George.
came on to place hold.
Hold on, is that actually George?
Yes. Hello there, Nathan.
Oh, you're a bit
Hey,
quiet.
thank you for coming in.
Hold on, everyone just be quiet. I need to sound check George. Say
It is George.
Can you all be quiet while George speaks, please?
Oh, wait. Here, hang on a sec. Is this any better? Hello?
Yep, that's
I can
good.
hear him.
That's good.
Is my audio coming through okay?
Perfect. Good to have you, George. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, as I was mentioning to Mr. Rayleigh on Skype, I don't have a lot of time. I just like to limit things to, I will address the Brian Mullen issue for John, and I will address the Ampere's law and the Beal-Savart law regarding the nature of the Earth's magnetic field. If that's agreeable, then I'll continue on.
Yeah, go ahead. Mike's all yours.
Regarding this Brian Mullen issue, I have been for over a year now been vilified for his disappearance on the flat Earth scene, and it's been unjustly so. People have misinterpreted or misread comments. There's been rumors spread, and apparently John here likes to jump onto the rumor mill too. He keeps demanding evidence, but yet he hasn't presented evidence. All he's doing is using anecdotal rumors that he's come across and using that to try to vilify me. I'll just set the record straight here. Is the reason Brian Mullen left, well, he obviously left on his own accord. Nobody forced him to leave. Google didn't shut down his channel. He shut it down himself. I have had a conversation with him at one time. And prior, on many of his videos, one in particular is episode 3 regarding the Kepler's law and gravitational acceleration and the derivation of Kepler's law. He really botched that one up, and I produced a video over a year and a half ago, to answer that, and I pointed out where his mistakes were. I'm not going to go into it right now. People can watch my video if they want to see where I explained where he went wrong in his derivation. But what got me to produce that video was in his episode 3, the last 10 minutes, he went on this soapbox monologue about how equations were manipulated so that we would worship the sun, that the earth didn't matter in the Kepler's law, that the mass of the earth dropped out, and that didn't make any sense. And the whole reason why in his derivation the mass of the earth dropped out of the equations is because he assumed all of the mass of the Earth-Moon system was centered at the center of the sun. And that forces the mass of the Earth to drop out of the equations. But if you do it more accurately and look at the center of mass of the Earth-Moon system, this Earth's mass does not drop out of the equation. So it was just all a bunch of nonsense he's going on about why the equations were manipulated to make the mass of the Earth drop out. What he was doing was he was using a very simple derivation that's normally done in maybe high school classes and stuff, and it ignored the true nature of the problem. It was a very simplified derivation that is used usually to show, beginning students of physics as a very simplified derivation of Kepler's law. So anyway, long story short, I produced a video to show where he went wrong, and I called him out on it. And I also commented on many of his other episodes showing where he went wrong in a lot of his claims regarding why the ISS doesn't burn up in its orbit about the Earth and things like that. He totally avoided the whole concept. There's 3 mechanisms of heat transfer. You've got conduction, convection,
Yeah. Hey,
radiation.
listen. Let's stop
So
right now.
anyway,
Hey,
the thing is, bottom line is, John, hold on here. Bottom line is,
we're tired of this narrative that you got. We want you to put. We want. Okay.
No, I'm
we
getting.
don't care about your fairy tale.
Quiet here a second, John.
Him.
Just let me get to it.
Hey, Nathan said he could have his talk. Come on.
Well, he did.
Now,
and it's been long enough.
Okay, I'm just setting up the background now. Okay, after seeing many of his videos and seeing how he was misrepresenting science and the use of mathematics, I started calling him out on it. I sent open letters to him expecting responses. He did not respond. And he was claiming in many of his videos, he was using his credentials as a professional engineer to add validity to what he was saying. And it was very puzzling to me because I'm a professional engineer too. I have taken all the professional engineering exams. In fact, I'm even a exam writer for the national board. And it just seemed puzzling to me that anyone that went through the EIT process and took the professional engineering exam could botch up the physics as badly as he did. So I was suspicious as to whether or not he was really a professional engineer. So I did some inquiries. I called the Florida State Board to see if he had a license, and I found out that he did, and I checked to see if it was active and if there were any complaints filed against him. And I found that his license was active, it was in good standing, and there were no complaints filed against him. And I had a little discussion with the board on just regarding engineering ethics and what they would consider to be a violation of the professional engineering license, and whether or not there had been any complaints filed against Brian Mullen. They said that there had been some inquiries and complaints, but the board wasn't going to address them because they didn't feel that his activities outside of his professional career was any concern that the board would involve themselves with, and they weren't going to take any action against. They hadn't taken any action against Brian Mullen. They really weren't interested. So anything that happened to Brian Mullen was not due to the board. Yes, go ahead.
It's good to hear that at least they would basically just leave his life, and not punish him for whatever he was doing outside of his profession. So yeah,
well,
Riley,
George, could I respectfully interrupt at this point?
Go ahead.
Why would you inquire about that status of Brian at that point if it wasn't for malicious purpose?
Exactly.
I was curious as a professional engineer whether or not he had been disciplined, because it just seemed to me what he was doing with his videos was totally out of character and out of line for a professional engineer.
But don't you think that he's got the right to question the authorities, and he has the choice to decide what his religion is?
Does, but not under the purview of claiming that you are a professional engineer. Now, if he wants to go and produce his videos, he's very welcome to do so, but he should not be flashing his credentials out there. If he wants to enjoy
the way you're flashing your credentials,
salaries and the protections that
the way you're flashing your
with a professional engineer, he needs to adhere to the
That's
ethics.
right. And engineers aren't scientists to begin with. You definitely ain't. You're doing the same thing you're charging him with.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think that if you were to challenge his license in any way, indicates malice, because I don't see why. And ultimately, what's it got to do with you? What his beliefs or views of the world are?
But did he
Anyone
do that?
can challenge me all they want. You can check on my license. You're welcome to
George?
do so. I don't care.
George,
I haven't
did
done
you
anything to
George?
Nor is
Did you
he.
challenge
Nor
him?
has he. Free
Hold on,
speech.
hold on.
look
Can
at-
you let George
you're-
reply?
no,
Look, I'm not going to have 5 people
dealing with a
talk. Arwen,
profession where money changes hands, where you are in, you are given public trust in order to competently perform the duties of your job. What I suspect,
can be a flat
question,
earther.
please?
look at what I suspect has happened here is that people claim that I called employer. No, I've never called his employer. I don't know where he works. All I know is he does work in North Carolina from some of the things that he said in his video, but I've never called his employer. But I had commented to some video. There was a video put up where is Brian Mullen. I see that it's since been taken down, but in there, someone did comment that they had contacted his employer, but it wasn't me. Somebody had posted, and I tried to get in touch with that person to see if that is indeed true, or they're just trying to, sometimes people want to take credit for something that they, to make themselves look good. And I didn't know whether or not this guy was really telling the truth or not. But I suspect what has happened. His videos were out there. All right. It's very easy to check on a person. Cripe. I'm on LinkedIn. I have a Google Plus profile. Anyone can check my credentials. And when Brian Mullen put himself out there with all these videos, don't you sort of suspect that maybe he was assigned to a project where maybe the customer may have come across Brian Mullen's videos and started questioning whether or not this guy might be competent to handle the project?
Absolutely not.
Can I please ask a question, a straightforward question, Nathan?
Yeah, go ahead, Arwen.
You know,
All right, so
I
George,
rather suspect
George, please,
probably a customer may
George,
have inquired.
please,
Yeah, go ahead.
please. I have a very straightforward question. Okay, so you have your opinions about Brian Mullen's dealings. What I want to ask you, did you just inquire if there were complaints about... Hold on, I'm not finished. Hold on, I'm not finished yet. Did you inquire the panel if there were complaints? Or did you actually file a complaint towards him?
No, I never filed a complaint.
All right, that's all I wanted to know.
That. I would never do that.
All right, that's all I wanted to know. So you're basically just spreading your opinion now. You didn't actually file a complaint.
No, but what I'm trying to tell people is all you have to do is Google.
Hold on, Ranty, let him reply to Arwen first.
Board of Professional Engineers and go to Florida and go to the state board, type in Brian Mullen's name, and you'll find that his license is active and that there hasn't been any action taken against him. The board.
So if you can type that in, why did you have to call them and stir things up? Just
exactly.
I didn't stir anything up.
It sounds to me exactly like that's what you did.
The point.
Don't you see, George, that inquiring about
the board didn't look at the board didn't take any action. All right?
Doesn't matter.
Bottom line, no action was taken.
It doesn't matter. It's a nefarious intention, George. Why would you do that?
I was trying to determine whether or not there was any violations in the code of ethics. I read the code of ethics and I saw in the way I read it that there was a violation in the code of ethics, and I wanted to.
So you wanted to ring up to grass him up?
Yeah, so you were trying to cause trouble.
Hold on.
No, I wasn't causing trouble.
George,
I wanted to find out whether or not my understanding was correct or not.
What was your understanding? What was the violation?
Like cunt.
No need.
I'll pull up the code for you.
Yeah, let's see and present it on screen so we can all read it verbatim. Because to be honest, George, I don't trust you to read it verbatim. I want to read it myself.
Okay, just a minute. Hold on here.
Look, George is being very forthcoming. I don't suspect he has told any lies thus far. Let's not jump down his case and demand this and that. So far, he's answered every question we have put to him.
A minute. Okay, now there's two things I'm going to do here. I have a thread that I started in one of my videos called What Happened to Brian Mullen, and I have all the conversation that I've had with others regarding it, and I'll post the link I'll post the link address in the side chat here, and then I'll bring up the code, and then you can screen share it if you want to do that.
Thank you, George. May I ask a question?
Yeah, go ahead.
So the board that you contacted, are they someone that potentially I could just get in touch with?
Oh, yeah, very easily. Yeah, the phone numbers are there. Hang on, I'll even find it for you. Just a minute. Now, it won't let. I'm going to have to truncate the link. It won't let me post because I'm not a wrench holder here on.
Just saying, it seems to me if you go over all the rules and just to try to find something to call the board to complain about, it does seem like there's intent to willfully hurt the man. That's my opinion. Keep going like you want. You did intentionally do that to hurt the man.
We're all entitled to our opinion. You can have your opinion, fine. You know, I'll respect your opinion. But I'm telling you the truth of the matter is,
that's fair
enough. Employer, I did not file any.
You violated him, and your intent was to hurt him. That's what I believe.
No, Jimbo, that's not reasonable. I'd rather. I'm pretty sure you've answered this, George, but I will just ask it as a direct question. What were your intentions when you did this? When you set about contacting potentially, it might have been his direct employer on that board. You have no idea, but contacting people who he is associated with and could affect his employment. What were your intentions when you did so?
I did not contact anyone that was associated with him. I did not contact his employer.
Sure,
all I said is I inquired.
I understand that wasn't my question, though. George, sorry, that wasn't my question. So, what were your intentions? Why did you do this?
I just explained that. I wanted to get clarification as to whether or not I was reading the code of ethics correctly.
No, you said before you wanted to see whether there was a breach of
and
ethics.
what the board's position would be regarding that matter.
Yeah, but George, to quote you from before, your intentions, you said before, was to see whether there was a breach of ethics.
Yes.
So that's not what you just said.
Well, and didn't you say that he took his videos down because you caused him to do it because of what you said, what was so smart, and that he didn't figure it out? But
No,
you were...
I never said that. I've never made that claim. It surprised me that the videos came down. I mean, one day I went to try to find one of my comments I believe it was on episode 6. I wanted to do a cut and paste, and I couldn't find the video, and people told me that there is all buzz all around the internet at that point in time that Mullen's channel came down. And
but do you think that you have something to do with that, though?
No,
he can't have any idea. That's not a reasonable question. So, George, again, I know I've said, why have you done this? And you said potentially because there was a ethical code violation, and you've kindly posted that link. I don't know if anybody's read it. I'm obviously producing this show, so I haven't. But can you briefly verbalise what you felt was Brian's ethical code violation?
Yeah. Hang on here a sec. I've been trying to get it up.
Well, while she's trying to find that, George, could I ask you a question, please?
To be honest, you need to verbalise it, like on screen, show it on screen, not just read it.
Yes.
Just could I ask you, George? Were you familiar with the flat Earth debates, or the fact that flat Earth was you before this, before he actually did his channel? So were you familiar with the likes of Mark Taylor and stuff like this? This kind of Gem Panda, Red's Rhetoric. Were you in there?
Actually, at that time, I wasn't very well plugged into the whole flat Earth, globe Earth debate. I had come on to the YouTube scene through. It was a Richard Dawkins, Wendy Wright video that I had been commenting on a lot with other people, and I met a few people. I think it was Rumpus that I first met, and he invited me into the ED Earth Discussions channel. And at that time, then I started understanding what was going on. But before I really started participating in discussing any with the flat earthers and stuff, I had been watching Brian Mullen's videos, and I was just kind of wondering what the heck is going on here.
I see. So you had in your ear, you had the Rumpus and the ED, the Earth Discussions, or the Earth Discussions 2.0. You had them guys in your ear at the time that Brian Mullen was putting out this devastating flat Earth proofs.
Yeah, well, actually, I was aware of the Brian Mullen stuff before I went into ED 2.0, before I was even became involved with the Earth Discussions group.
Okay, so we're kind of building up a picture here of what's actually happened. That's good.
Nathan, can I ask another question?
Well, it's going to get lost. The very nature of this, I'm going to call it a grievance. If you don't like the word, I'm really sorry, George. But George's grievance, we don't know yet.
My question is pretty relevant to the subject. So, George, you earlier, in response to my question, stated that you have not filed a complaint to the board.
That is correct.
Yes. Okay. So, have you actually suggested to anyone on the board or anyone relevant that could make a complaint that there should be made a complaint towards you?
No. See, again,
just asking.
Yeah. See, what you have to understand is the board is not interested in Brian Mullen's or any other engineer's activities outside of his professional duties. Now, if the activities outside of his professional duties do start to interfere with his professional duties, yes, then it will get the attention of the board. But what Brian Mullen was engaged in, the board has no interest in.
All right, so you basically had concern and you made an inquiry, and that is it. You have not suggested that somebody make a complaint. You have not done so yourself.
No.
So
And like
I'm still unclear, though.
I don't know anything about his employment status or what he's done, but all I have is conjecture, just like most of you do, is my take on it is that probably a customer may have complained to his employer, and the employer maybe, again, this is
pure speculation, George. I'm not interested in your speculation. No offense, George.
Just speculation.
George, I'm just not interested in you speculating.
I suspect it came from his employer and nowhere else. It definitely did not come from the professional board.
Right. So if the professional board had no issue, and you're saying you felt there was an issue, what was the issue you felt there was?
Yeah, it comes back to this ethical code thing that you were talking about.
Yes. I'm trying to focus on that.
So yeah, what's the tipping point?
Whilst you're focusing on that, can I just state my position?
No, I didn't. No, I don't want this to round out until I hear specifically what made a man feel like it was necessary to get in touch with people who are definitely in a superior position to another man and potentially risk his career, inquire about whether or not I'd had complaints and things of that nature. I want to know the motivation. Until, if everyone keeps asking questions, George can dodge this indefinitely, and I want an answer.
Okay, now, do you want me to screen share this, or do you want maybe...
Yes, please.
If you can need sensitive data, that would be great.
Hold on, Ranty, please. I'll let all of you ask questions. Why is it you're all talking over mine? Yes, please, George. If you can screen share it and just specifically highlight what it was that was concerning to you.
Hang on, I'm trying to see. Screen share. Okay. Should be coming up now.
Yeah, you've just got the Hangout at the moment, but yeah, let me know when you've got whatever you want to share.
I'll go to it here. All right, is the text up now?
It is indeed.
Yeah.
Okay, whoops. Okay, here it is.
Sorry, this looks like you're taking it from a page called Flat Earth Answers.
Yeah, this is copy and pasted from the board's code of ethics.
Can we see the board of ethics?
Can we see that, please? Sorry, Anthony, I've got this.
Okay, I'll do a search on that.
Could you zoom in a nudge so it's more readable?
No. I'm not happy with something that's come from a Flat Earth Answers website.
Oh, okay.
Especially when I see Brian Allen's name interspersed all throughout this documentation, as if it might be a letter or a...
Okay, I'll tell you what.
So what was that? Just before you go on. What was that, George?
I'll just read. Okay, I'll read the points first so that you.
I want to see it. Hold on. Is this where you? Hold on, George.
Look at
George.
Then I'll go to the site and get you the
George. Hello. Yeah. Was this where you got this reference from initially?
Yes, I will. But
no. Just listen to my question. George, shut up. Stop talking. George, trying to ask you a question. You keep talking. Was this where you originally found this point?
No.
Well, can you show me where you found it originally?
Website of the National Board.
Right, that's what we want to see, George.
Yeah. You can see that.
Guys, look. I'm trying to get there, okay?
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
In the meantime, this is just a copy, a cut and paste to my own video. This is what you see. This is a thread here on my video, okay? I've got all kinds of stuff. This is just my video, Flat Earth Answers and Explanations. That's me at the board, at the black whiteboard there. And I have lots of topics. I have things on... if you see here,
just before we move off it, what's the date on this video, just in case somebody needs to go look for it?
Let's see here, January 3rd, 2017.
Cool. So if someone wants to look at it, they know the date, they can find it. Perfect. But if you can bring up the original source, please.
Yes, I'll get there. Hang on. But if you go, just so you know, in the comment section to this video.
No, George, right? Please, can you just stop talking about your video and go and get us the source information for why you felt the need to nearly ruin a man's career?
Okay.
Thank you. In your own time.
I didn't try to ruin his.
Look, just go and get your reference for why you felt it need to call up somebody's potential employer. You had no idea their position on the board.
I did not call his employer.
Potential. Listen, try and open your ears when I talk. You had no idea whether or not people on that board employed him or not. You had absolutely no idea, yet you inquired about whether or not it had complaints made against him, potentially stirring the pot, and I want to know why. I'd like to see the original source material you went to and why you went to it.
It's just the classic dragging intentionally move. They're just intentionally dragging.
Not necessarily. He's got a quick
Right,
reference.
Well, you're right. You're right. He could be slow and not have.
I'm trying to get there.
stuff.
I'm
Yeah,
trying
just
to
give him
get
a-
there,
give him a
but you
break.
keep asking me other questions.
Okay, can we have a couple of minutes of silence? Would that be good?
Yeah.
Does that give you enough time to find it?
Yes, it would be on account of the fact there's like eight of us, and one of him. So there's a lot of pressure on him. Just give him a break.
There's a lot of pressure on some of us biting our tongue as well, though, Nathan. Sorry.
I assure you, my blood temperature is just as high as yours, Walt.
Nathan, you should find some background music for these people when we're having to wait for their evidence.
Well, this is the perfect background. This is the perfect background music. Let's be honest. The silence.
Silence is nice too.
Sometimes these sites aren't real easy to navigate.
Got plenty of time.
People in the chat will understand the importance of this exact moment, so I'm sure they'll be quite happy to wait a couple of minutes till you find it.
Checking on the board of ethics. Will I find my tipping point that made me ruin a man's career? But let's not jump to conclusion. Is that George playing the guitar?
There's Walt.
No.
Perfect timing.
Good job,
It's
Walt.
just what we needed. Thank you, Walt.
Absolutely.
To be fair to George, though, George did not have to come on and do this.
Not at all.
I agree. I give him credit for coming on and speaking the truth from what we're all discerning is actually the truth. From his perspective, anyway.
George, maybe you're looking in the wrong place on the website. I tried to Google it.
Uh-huh.
And
Have
maybe
you
you
found
should
it?
look in nces.org about/publications. And I think there's something about NCES Engineering Education Standard. There's a link there. Surveying Education Standard. Maybe that's where you're looking.
just checking. You are an engineer yourself, and you are familiar with this company that you're looking up, right?
This is not a company. This is a licensing board.
Sure.
So you were inquiring whether or not he deserved to retain his license.
But they keep.
Sorry, just for clarity, when you were doing this and in finding out this violation, which you now can't find, you were investigating whether or not
I'm fine. It's
whether or not he was worthy to hold an engineering license.
Yeah.
Sorry, if I can just finish my sentence. If I can just finish my sentence, please, George. Thanks.
Go ahead.
So, when you were inquiring, you were straight to whether or not this man was justified in holding a license and being able to maintain his career, correct?
No, that's not.
Well, you're looking at license.
You're
looking
phrasing it in a way that is.
What makes you sound like a complete shit? Yes, George, that's exactly how I'm phrasing it, and everyone watching knows that.
Okay, well, let's suppose he had violated his terms of service, and then you put a complaint in. What would have been the process then? Would you have expected him to be fired?
No. The board doesn't have any control or management as to a person's employment. All they have is whether or not the license would be deemed, inactive or active.
So without a license, he wouldn't have. Sorry, hold on. Without a license, he wouldn't have employment though as an engineer, correct?
Wrong.
So without a license,
most practicing engineers do not have a professional engineering license. A professional engineering license is only.
So you don't have the time to call these guys and boards and et cetera and stir crap up for them, because it seems like they're violating a lot more ethics than Brian was.
What'd you say?
You heard what he said.
George, please.
Yeah.
Please just
Since
click
you're
the
such
link
a
I
white horse
posted.
for the NCEES, it seems like you have a lot of time to make these calls. I'm just saying these guys that aren't licensed need to be dealt with. Sounds like, just from my opinion. I'll stop. I'm sorry.
Look at the board of professional engineers have no control or any sort of leverage on engineers that are not licensed.
So because he was licensed, you felt it was good to go to them because they would have the authority to revoke his license.
And a revocation of a license does not. Oh gosh.
So why are you putting this caveat in a legal case?
Say what?
You put a caveat in a legal case.
Caveat in a legal.
The other thing is, it's taken you about 10 minutes. I mean, apparently you. Sorry, I'm still a bit confused. You haven't found this reference, and I'm puzzled as to why it's taking you so long. Because once we get there,
well, I'm puzzled too because I can't.
Right? Can you see in the side chat? Can you see in the side chat? I've just had from Globebusters Bob. I've just posted a link. It says the nspe.org site. It should be a PDF that you can actually just click and open it up. Apparently that should hold some relevance for you.
So, someone from the audience has managed to bring it up, and I've got it in front of me now for the audience, George. NSP Code of Ethics for Engineers.
Okay, good. All right.
I'm reading over it myself.
Well, it's just interesting that something.
Hold on, Stiggy, sorry. So hold on. So have you got that piece of paper? Have you got that in front of you? It's been shared in this Hangout, George.
Let me see here. Shared in the Hangout.
Yeah. So if you go back to the G+ page and then hover your mouse in the actual Hangout itself, not the video, not the watch page.
Oh.
It's a 2-page PDF.
Hold on.
That's it. So if you hover over and then go to the top left-hand corner, the blue speech bubble.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
And then scroll to the bottom of the side chat and it should bring up a PDF document just posted by, I think it was Ranty. Did you say it was Bob?
Oh, okay. Got it.
Did you say Bob shared that,
Thanks.
Ranty?
No worries.
Who shared that, Ranty?
Bob from Globebusters.
Thank you very much, Bob. So, George, have you got that up now?
Yeah, I got it.
Excellent. So I've just shared your page. So can you just take us to what it was that you thought was necessary to contact a man on YouTube who you had no previous association with? You're back on your YouTube page on your video, George.
Just a minute. Just hold on.
No. What are you doing?
Okay, it's under the register.
You're back on your YouTube page.
It's under registrants' obligations to society. Okay. So I just wanted to find which section it was.
So glad this is being recorded.
Professional obligations.
And with that, I'd like to thank the audience.
Oh no, this isn't ending anytime soon. If Nathan ends it anytime soon, I think I'll go around to his house.
Okay, this has been rewritten a bit since I read it. You could go to the section here.
It says 2007 at the top.
Not been updated anytime soon.
11 years old, George.
Just a minute, something isn't quite right.
You're back on your video again, George, it seems.
Yes, just a minute. Hold on a
Can you
second.
go to the page with the code of ethics, not your YouTube video, and find what it was that you felt it was necessary to contact a person you had absolutely zero association with on YouTube and put their career in jeopardy? I'd like you to get off this page immediately, George. You don't seem to be listening.
Nathan, shut the hell up.
Don't swear at me. How dare you, you obnoxious man. Just go to the code of ethics you thought it was necessary to put a man's career at risk and show us what it was you felt was justified in contacting the board of people who gave him his license. Can you go to that page, not your YouTube video?
George, it's numbered paragraph 1, so it's probably going to be at the top.
See, what I'm looking at, what had me concerned is what I have here, and I'm trying to compare.
Shut up! This is a YouTube video. Get this crap off my page, George, now. This is your YouTube video.
All I'm trying to do is compare.
Thank you.
I'm trying to find the section.
Click, left, click your mouse. Thank you, George. Show me in here what it... You're now back on the Hangout, George. Yeah, that's it. Click on there. Show me what it was that you deemed necessary to put a man's career at risk.
That's what I'm...
You're back on your YouTube video again, George. You can't seem to help yourself. Go back to the code of ethics, the thing you claimed was a justified reason to put a man's career at risk, and show me in that tab. Come away from your video, George. This is not what we want to see.
Let's give him 2 minutes, Nathan. Let's give him 2 minutes,
Nathan. But George, don't go back to your video. Stay on this page and find it on this page. Or page 2, whichever of page. There's only 2 pages.
Okay, here we go. Professional obligations. Right here.
It must be that top one there.
No, Anthony, just let him
just
right
here.
To it.
Maybe you could read them, George.
A minute.
Shall be guided in all their relations by the highest standards of
I bet he didn't have this much trouble figuring things out before he made that call to the board. It all seems complicated now. Finding the regulations, finding the board papers. You can't do nothing right.
I have to call these.
We have to find the damn papers for him.
Sorry, George. You've got it. You've got your video back on, which is going to really annoy me. Right? You're dealing with quite hot-headed people at the moment that are trying to keep their nerve because they're all quite annoyed at you. Now, I'd like you to go back to the code of ethics that you claim was a justification for putting a man's career at risk and show me underneath the right-hand paragraph that you had up a moment ago. Scroll up. There you go. See where it says professional obligations? Please can you read them and tell me which one of those you felt was a justification for putting a man's career at risk? Thank you.
I wasn't putting his career at risk.
I don't want you to tell me what you think you were doing when you were contacting the board of a man's license, okay? Just read out what it was you felt justified that most disgusting action that you took, please.
Well, so
George, hang on, George, you absolutely were putting the man's career at risk by ringing the board of governors or the board of regulators.
I did
So,
not
can you read
file
out,
a
please,
formal
what it was that
complaint.
you felt justified it? It's taken about 20 minutes to get to this. We had to find the document for you. Now I'd like you to read the paragraph that you felt justified with. You just seem to be silent, George. We found it for you. Now I'd like you to read it.
I'm trying to find the section that is the one that I was concerned with.
Is it unethical?
Different
Sorry.
from what
No.
Yeah.
You weren't concerned with the section from this paragraph. You were looking to ruin a man's career. That's what you were apparently concerned with based on what you found in this document and now cannot find. So you were so concerned based on what you saw in this document that you put a man's career at risk. Now you can't quite find it. Is that correct, George?
No, that's not correct.
Well, why can't you find it? Did you lie, George? Did you really get the information from a YouTube video?
No, I did not get information.
Well, you don't
from
seem to be
you.
able to find it, even though we found this for you. Why did you feel it was necessary to put a man's career at risk, George?
Did not put his career.
Don't tell me what you did. I am telling you, you put a man's career at risk based on what you have done, and you don't even seem to have you don't even seem to have a justifiable reason. You've given one, and now you can't find the paragraph. You're just scrolling back and forth inanely. Read the paragraph that you felt justified in what you did.
It was part of the ED discussion.
Ranty, read it, George.
Says it all.
Is there anything there that actually justifies your actions, George? What you should be able to go straight to this, George. You were straight on the phone with them. You've had a discussion about whether or not he's had previous complaints based on this. Where is it? You seem to be not interrupting me and just silent now, George.
I'm reading.
Show me what you felt justified in doing so against a man you'd never met or had any interaction with. It doesn't seem to be here, George. What is it that you were referencing?
Nathan, give him a minute. Let him have a minute.
He's had 20.
He's reading.
He's had 20 minutes. This is supposed to be the thing he used. He said he went to this originally, not a YouTube video. Now he can't find it. I think he's lying.
I agree, but I want him to hang himself if he is.
Okay.
Well, are you still there? Can you play some guitar music?
No, let's not. Just give him peace and quiet to look. It is really distracting if he's concentrating. Let him have a minute.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, we found the document he needed for him, so he should be good from now on.
Well, it is just surprising that he can't remember it, like something that drove him to this much passion to go and investigate another man, and you can't even, like, usually normal people, this is what caused my decision. Like, they know it.
The sequence of thoughts and actions this man took against Brian Mullen are intentional and willful, in my opinion, to hurt the man's career and to shut him up.
Well,
he's like a Stalinist or something, this guy.
But he only cares because Brian's saying things that are alternative, that about the Earth.
I agree.
Maybe.
That's it.
Exactly.
But
no, he wouldn't be doing
guys,
that.
it is some time ago that this happened, right? So.
No, but the documents from
willful
2007
and intentional.
It's still relevant.
Yeah, of course it is, but it's been a while since this thing with Brian Mullen happened, so he just needs to get back in.
Hang on,
but it's just
so it's water under the bridge now.
Not at all. If I was putting a man's life at risk in terms of their career, then I would absolutely be able to go straight back to the document and find the exact piece of information I needed. Yet here we are, 5 minutes later, George going back and forth over the exact same pieces of information over and over again. If he's used this document, he would know where the information was. He doesn't.
He's trying to pull stuff out of a dark hole.
I agree. It's absolutely suspect that
this guy ratted out
what it
and
is
he doesn't want to
on.
admit it.
Can I make a
He wants to
suggestion?
justify it.
Just type in the word, do a Control and F, and type in the word ethic, and see what comes up. Let's see if it's mentioned anywhere in the document.
No, what is this? Is a different document than what I had read, and that's what's puzzling me here. Is that I'm trying to find.
You can't even remember.
Right. So
what are you looking for
Sorry,
specifically?
why is this video on page again? What the hell is going on? Take it off screen.
Right.
Take
it off screen. Why are you
didn't say
looking at your
yeah.
YouTube video again, George? Is it
Well, I'll
really?
tell you what.
Is this your? This is actually your justification, isn't it? You've got the information from a YouTube
Don't run away.
commenter.
No, I did not get information off YouTube. I copied.
Well,
and
you are
pasted.
literally doing that right now, you complete idiot. Look at what's on page in front of you. It says YouTube. Can you read?
What?
It says YouTube. Do you read what it says? Top left. Read it.
This is my...
Yes, I know what it is, you complete buffoon. And I'm telling you, I want the official document you used. And you can't find it. You keep going back to a YouTube video. You've put a man's life at risk in terms of his career. And all you can do is reference a bloody YouTube video. And laugh.
We have this thing called
Nathan.
copy conform. We need some information from the original document, not what you copied, pasted, and edited
listen,
to your.
Do you know what I've done as a content
I'm
creator? Listen.
I'm trying to find the document from which
As a content creator, we save our documents. So if we rely on something, we have a little folder for it and we put things in it. Why didn't you
it's
save
the unicorn
PDF?
document he's looking for, engineering unicorns.
Yeah, why did you not save or take a screenshot of the PDF or the laws or the rules or the regulations that you were actually reciting from? Why did you not save that on your computer, ready to go immediately?
Especially
that's kind of sloppy, George.
This sort of
that's kind of sloppy.
There we go. There we go.
I think basically he's compiling lies on lies, but we'll see.
Right, so what's this from? NSP.org, right, okay, same.
We don't seem to get a text match in that document, though, George, right?
Pardon? What?
We don't appear to be getting a text match in the document. You might need to do a Control F on this page and see do you get a text match.
Interest. Well, from what I can glance,
maybe you can do it for it. Maybe you can do it for him.
It does conform to the same kind of things.
Can you
Still
see the
wondering
page?
what part of that is actually driven you to basically go on the course that you did, George.
I'm trying to figure out where this registrant's obligation to society, where that is in this.
Okay.
Right in front of you, it says it there.
I think it was a vexatious act, as they say in law.
Well, it's because Brian had a sort of status of education, though, and that worries them. Because for right now, where's your scientist? Where's your main scientist that's coming out? And since he had such a knowledge of it and was considering, yeah, the Earth could be flat, that's why they're after him. That's exactly why. There's no other way. He wouldn't be doing this if he wasn't a part of any even board.
I do agree, because ultimately, if the board said that there was an ethical breach, what would then the position be? Would there then be a complaint?
Well, he said. I thought he said earlier that the board doesn't even. The board isn't even concerned.
It took a lot of willful thinking and searching to find something and hunting to find something to try to use against him. There's so much intent and willfulness in this. He's almost liable. It's almost liable for prosecution.
Oh, come on.
Scanning through this document, this PDF file, there is no mention of the word society in any of the professional obligations. There's one mention of the word public in relation to deceiving, and that's it.
The thing is, what we've got to realize is that these people, I mean, the Earth discussions people, right? The Earth discussions people, they're the type of people that will go around doxing people and creating havoc. Now, if he's ended up in that atmosphere a year ago or 2 years ago, or whatever, it's what he's going to turn into. It's what they do. The people hang around Rumpus. The Rumpuses, the Mark Taylor, the Jem Pandas, the Reds Rhetorics, the Sean Hufford.
Well, this one deserves an exceptional title, and that's Rat. R-A-T, Rat.
Yep.
They're just a clique on their own, and they think they're above everybody else, and they can go around and they can do what the hell they want. Well, this is them being held accountable right now.
Yeah, if you took this, like, if this was a hypothetical case in court, yeah, there's no way he would be let free. You can't provide anything. You could leave this stream on, we could all go to bed, and come back up, and he still wouldn't have it.
Yeah, because he would have had it by now. There's
Yeah,
no
he would.
way
He would. We would have
there's
moved
no way
on.
he heard something that pissed him off to the point that he decided to call somebody the superiors and the boards and all of that. And now he's come on here to try to explain it, but he can't even find what he was referencing.
You guys want me to summarize all of the professional obligations really quickly?
Absolutely not.
All right. All right.
This is that point, Arwin. This is the moment not to do that.
All right, fine. I'll remain silent.
Yeah, this is when you let the guy do
hang
it to himself. Yeah. Because right now, George, you're really making yourself just look ridiculous.
You must be meditating or something.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not trying to attack you in any way, but like you went so far as to contact people's, superiors, and here you are trying to explain it. And
Sorry, can I just ask a quick question to George? So, when you originally did this, was this the kind of research that you did on this man you've never met? This kind of trawling through rules and regulations to find something to have on him? Is this the kind of research you did when you found it originally?
I'm not going to answer to something stated in such a obtuse manner.
Sorry, was this the kind of research you did originally, yes or no, is my question. Because so far, just live, we've spent, 15, 20 minutes, maybe longer, with you trawling through various different rules and regulations to find something to be able to contact a board to question somebody's integrity.
I'm not trying to find something. I'm a little puzzled as to why the obligations to society isn't in here that I had looked at before.
Well, what obligations to societies is he not obeying?
Well, you're going to object the minute I pull it up because
no, but what you should know, like you can remember
even
a little
it up
part
yet.
of it.
It's not to.
Here we go again. So we're back to your YouTube video with no citation whatsoever, George. What are you doing? So your reference is YouTube.
Right, can I just read? Stop.
YouTube. There's no obligations to society.
Sorry, he's just said it's not YouTube. So I'm just for the audience's benefit, because George is a liar, highlight where this reference is from. It says with a red play button, Y-O-U, and then there's a capital T-U-B-E. So this is a reference from YouTube.
Nathan, look at that paragraph.
He's found it. Here we go. Let's see.
No, look, he says one can reasonably argue that Mullin has violated several. He's took it off screen now.
No, it's fine. He's found it apparently. Let's see. Let's see what he's got.
Back to Google.
Rules of professional conduct for what enterprise?
Has this guy got a degree?
This guy's an engineer.
You're still Googling.
Jeez.
Sounds about par with Rumpus and all those.
Oh my goodness.
Back to the same webpage, George.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not coming up.
You're just mumbling, George.
Nathan, the next time he goes back to his webpage, read the top paragraph that he's put where it starts. Mullin. It can be reasonably argued that Mullin has breached several, and then I didn't catch the rest of it. Right at the top, there, it's written in blue. One can reasonably argue that Mullin has violated several of the PE rules of professional conduct under the rules bylaws shown in the part below. So let's see these rules that you claim that he's broke.
Okay, you can't actually find them. You can't actually find them on the page. So let's just read what you've actually said.
No, let's not. Let's find the rules.
Let's read what
he sounded real sure in his writing about several violations, and he can't even find one for half an hour.
Yeah, but this is hearsay. This is hearsay. This is not real.
I know, but I still want to see what is what.
No, I don't.
I want to read it and see if I can find it in this document, because I kind of doubt that I will.
Right, okay, copy and paste that. Registration. The objective and truthful and professional reports. Copy and paste that. Put it in the actual, control. Is it Control F? to bring up the search.
There.
I mean, because I can't wait to because I remember what he mentioned. He said I told him something about Kepler's law and the ISS burning up. So I'm wondering if it's any of those, if they had ethics from those, or if it's about measuring Earth, or like what he was actually disobeying.
And can we set the number of violations at 3 as a minimum for several? Because 1 is not several, 2 is not several, 3, well, maybe it's getting into the several.
Right. What's this guy's? I'm going to have to do this for him because this guy is...
Absolutely not, Ranty, no. Leave him to do it. Let him make his case. And if he fails...
find it in 2 minutes.
It doesn't matter. It's not your argument. It's the same point against
We've already been
Darwin.
helpful enough.
Leave him to it.
No. Go on, Con.
I mean, one can reasonably assume that the amount of time it's taking now to find this, with a YouTube reference as guidance, YouTube reference, that it would have taken quite a considerable amount of time longer originally for this man to find a rule that Brian, a man he'd never met, had broken, apparently.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying, is he can remember the stuff that he told him about what he thought was wrong, but he can't remember these guidelines that were broken. Like, it's very specific, and we all know, but you just can't go out right and say you're guilty. But boy, is it easy to tell.
Come on.
Yeah, I think this is just stalling tactics.
Oh, yeah, he's got nothing. And, you know, lie after lie, delay after delay. His own bullshit.
Here it is. Here's a document.
Now let's see several. Let's
right, so
go
this
for
is
3.
from WSE.edu. So this is an educational video. Sorry, an educational document, yeah?
No.
Yes, it is. .edu.
This is from the NCES site.
No, it doesn't look like
it. No, it doesn't look like that. So it's from...
What?
No. What does it say in the search bar at the top?
It does say EDU. Can we be more specific with where this has come from, please, George?
Right here. Can't
what
you
does it
see
say at the top?
What's the citation, though? WSU.edu. What is that?
What is
SYSE?
YSU.edu. That's not NCEES. That's not their own site.
Can you open up a fresh window and go to the homepage for that site, George? Let's see. Is it? We want to know what it is.
No. Go back to the page you were just on. How do we establish a homepage for this?
Just get rid of everything after the edu/.
Yeah, exactly.
That'll take you to the homepage.
Yeah, so the /. Get rid of everything up to the /.
Yeah, just get that and let's see what that web page is.
Biological Systems Engineering.
Washington State
University.
So it's a university paper, education. What's that?
So it's not the citation from the...
So what does that have to do with...
Yeah, it's not a regulatory...
Let's phrase this question. Hold on. Hold on, everyone. George, would you say that's accredited citation? It's not come from that board. You're looking at it rather than answering me.
The Washington State University is tied in with the boards. Many of the universities, board members come from the universities, and the...
Why are you not citing from the board itself, the regulatory board itself, and a university website?
The people you were so incensed that you had to call.
This is what came up when I did my search just now.
No, it didn't. We just watched what happened when you came up and did your search with references from a YouTube video, and this was not what came up. We watched you do it for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, maybe even half an hour. So it didn't come up when you did your search originally. It would have come up now. It didn't.
So who's the author of this page, George? It should give an author title at the bottom somewhere, maybe.
There what?
Who's the author of this page? Because this is clearly secondary evidence. It's not primary. It's probably even tertiary.
Can you just scroll to the bottom, please?
Where you are.
And I believe the place you called was Florida?
Printed with the permission of...
Hang
So
on.
you don't seem to understand what.
George,
what
go back to the bottom, please. Let's read what it says at the bottom.
In regards to the question of application of the code to corporation vis-a-vis real persons, business from or type should not negate nor influence conformance of individual to the code. The code deals with professional services which service must be performed by real persons. Real persons.
What's the asterisk say? I can't read the asterisk. Printed with the permission.
Click hide.
Business structure.
Click the hide.
Clearly written to apply to the engineer and items incumbent on members of NSPE to endeavor to live up to its provisions. This
George,
applies
can you read
to
the
all
asterisk, please?
pertinent sections of the code. Okay.
Printed with the permission of what? I can't read, the box is in the way.
Oh.
Printed with the permission of NSPE. Now, is NSPE the Board of Engineers?
It was
National
the one.org.
Society of Professional Engineers.
So why is it not cited on the guidance that is the official guidance? This is not even the same.
It's secondary with a.
Well, I was
asterisk.
to be honest, I wasn't prepared to go through this to get everything in order. I mean, this just all of a
He was in
sudden
a rush.
came up.
Yeah, you wanted to give a just so story instead.
Now, if you want me to spend some time to put this all together, I can go off and do it, and I can join you at another time. But this
That would
just,
be nice. I would appreciate that too. Because you certainly seem to take enough time to research, to call, and then to have the effects downstream occur that have been done. And more with the result
you're
of.
making.
No, I'm not
you're
making.
making
You
statements
researched every little rule that you could
Hold
find,
on.
so that
Hold
you
on.
could persecute this guy.
No,
Just
no.
like
Hold
a
on,
witchcraft
Jimbo,
and a
Jimbo,
witch herd.
Jimbo.
You hunted him like a witch.
Secondary or otherwise,
You're
we've
no
now.
better than
Hold on,
Inquisition.
everybody. We've now got to the document. So, secondary or otherwise, fine. If you can now show us what it was specifically that you felt justified a call to the board of the person that licensed a man you'd never met and putting his career at risk. Excellent. In your own time, George.
I don't like the way that you stated it. That's all. I'm not going to answer to something when you put it that way.
Well, I'm
George,
asking-
can I ask you a question?
Yes.
If you were going to complain or inquire about the state of an ethical position of somebody that you've never met before, why would you use the university website as your basis for your claim? Surely you would have gone to the board of regulatory control's own documents and cited their rules back to them. Why
Or
did you
the
not
state
cite their own
involved.
rules?
I object.
Number
I object,
one,
Anthony.
okay, if you'd let me explain, I've been trying to explain this, is I'm going to bring this back up and Nathan's going to complain. That's fine.
Somebody
Hold
sent
on,
you a link.
no. What the hell is going on? We've just found the document. I've made a pause and said, George, take us to the actual line that you had a grievance with, and now we're back on YouTube. Can you go back to that document and tell me what it was specifically in that document, secondary or otherwise, that you felt the need to call the board of Brian? That's it. Show me.
I'm trying to
Why are you laughing?
Why are you laughing? Yeah. George,
Well,
please.
if you shut up long enough, I'd tell you.
You're on the YouTube page. Can you come off the YouTube page?
25 minutes.
Come off this page. Go back to the secondary university
See, this
information.
is my video. This
and
is
show
my
me-
video. This is where
I am not interested in your video. I'm interested in the document.
Paste from the page that had me concerned. Now
Go to the original, George. Go to the original.
George, please
That's
can you
what
go
I've
to
been
the
trying to
original
do.
document, not your YouTube page, please?
I'll tell you what. Well, we'll pick this up another time.
Why?
Don't run
I
away.
have time to find the original.
Hold on.
Run away. Don't run
I'm just
away.
doing everything here at the spur of the moment. I'm on the fly.
Not spur of the moment. This is after the fact. You've already done it. You've already put this man's career at risk. It's not spur of the moment. This is a secondary. You've come back to it. This isn't spur of the moment. This is the second
Yes,
time
this
you've
is
done this,
spur of the moment.
apparently.
This inquiry
No.
was, oh gosh, a year ago or more.
What, you can't
So?
remember a year ago? How did you pass your bloody degree?
Hold on. Look, before George runs away, I would like him to actually show me.
I'm not going to run away. I'm just going to come back when I'm prepared to deal with this because this is all spur of the moment.
Not really. You did know this was going to be challenged.
Well, I didn't know that I was going to have to pull up these.
Yeah, called presented evidence. Yeah.
This hangout's now going like an hour. Okay, you've been here for most of the hangout, so please present the original page, not the YouTube page, the original one. We went through all these websites, the PDF document. So
I'll go and find
show
it, and then I'll get back.
George,
I really
George,
don't
can I-
want,
can
I
I-
really don't want this guy to leave right now. I really
gotta go.
Sorry,
don't
let me
want
get this
to go.
straight. We've just spent
Goodbye.
half an hour finding those documents, and George is just closing all those tabs.
What do you want? What is it? You want?
Sorry, why are you closing those tabs? And why are you closing those tabs, George? George, why are you closing those tabs?
Who was it?
It was ranty. It was ranty. I just want you to, from the educational site, I would really like you to tell me what was it in the educational site that made you inquire about.
Well, I don't know. All I look at ranty.
You don't know, man? Really? Oh my God!
Jesus, look, Rant. What I'm trying to say is I don't know if that educational site is where I originally found this. What I did is I went into YouTube or into Google search, and I just typed in this particular part, rules of professional conduct, and this, and that's what it brought up. I don't know if that is the original document that I lifted this from. This here,
George.
See it.
So you just took a random source.
Nathan,
George, can I ask you a question, George? Is there any way that you could verbalize? Yeah, is there any way you could verbalize exactly what it is that Brian Mullins said that made you start this search for these documents in the first place?
To be honest, if you can't establish the basis of his claim,
I was trying to do it, but Nathan won't let me.
No, I don't think you should be allowed to do it.
No, let the guy explain in his own words. There's a lot of people in chat that have been waiting for an explanation of this.
No, hang on. If you can't establish the basis of his claim, I don't think you should be allowed to get quantify the merit.
They've heard 2/3 of the story. Let the guy finish his last third, please. There's a lot of people that are waiting on this.
Yeah, because I don't want him to leave, and we don't know anything that we did before he came in. You know, because he spent all this time looking for these documents, and he still hasn't found what it is that he's looking for.
So
I
yes,
just want to
maybe
hear
you
what
could
it is
verbalize
that.
it, yeah.
So please
I
get
want
to
to
the
hear
reasons,
what it is
George.
that made him, what Brian said that made him say, "Oh, I need to look into, is he following ethics or not?" Can you say that, George?
And even if you don't have a citation, that's fine. Just explain what it was that triggered you and what you think you was reporting at the time. That's it.
Exactly.
And then you can come back at another date. That's fine.
And remember, you started off with the word ethical.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so let's hear it.
I'm not going to speak now. I'm going to put myself on mute.
Me too.
Brian Mullen had produced a number of videos that called into question his competency as an engineer.
In your opinion.
And can I just say that you originally said ethical? You didn't say competent.
Come on, let him do his thing.
Yeah, he's changing his story though. He said ethical.
We're never going to get to it if we keep interrupting him. Come on.
Rules of professional conduct go directly to ethics. Was that Mr. Riley saying that?
Yeah, but you can't establish that with a principle that you're relying on. And you started off by saying it was ethics, but now you're talking about.
Well, it has to go with ethics. So a person's conduct as an engineer directly.
Yeah, but you're talking about competence. That's not the same as ethicalness.
Well, guys, just let him finish.
Well,
with what he says.
You misrepresent yourself and misrepresent.
Just listen to what he says.
Credentials.
Literally, let him say what he needs to say.
In part here, E here, it says registrants shall express a professional opinion publicly only when it is founded upon adequate knowledge of the facts and a competent evaluation of the subject matter. Okay. In my opinion, he's in violation of that. He was not competent. He did not present a competent evaluation of the subject matter, because I was very easily able to show where he went wrong and his misrepresentations in certain of his videos, particularly episode 3 was a total botch job of deriving Kepler's third law.
let's say that you're right. The basis on which you claim that he was wrong is a university paper that's internal to that university.
No, look at. I'm not saying that's what came up when I did the search. I would have to go back.
It's not been changed since 2007, George.
There's two types of documents. There's the rules of professional conduct, and there are the code of ethics. What I'm particularly focused on is in the rules of professional conduct.
Yeah, but you haven't though.
Into the ethics also.
George, you haven't done that.
Hold on. How does this even apply?
Exactly. What the hell does Kepler's law have to do with engineering, George?
He wasn't. It's like
a lot to do with it.
He wasn't actually applying his profession. He wasn't. He was just making a YouTube video. How does that apply to his profession as an engineer?
That's just one of several videos that he misrepresented and got the engineering principles wrong.
How does that apply to his profession?
Well, very
directly. Just a YouTube video. It's not a part of his profession.
If he's going to represent
his engineering profession,
if he's going to represent himself and use his so-called skills, engineering skills, to
without being
perform
paid
jobs, it goes directly.
Not if he's not being paid.
And being able. Oh, but he is being paid. That's the thing.
Really?
His job. Yes.
So he when he made that video, he was actually hired as an engineer
That's
to
the
do
problem.
that video.
No, not to make the video, but it goes to in his job performance as a professional engineer.
How?
Now,
it was his personal opinion. How does that apply to his profession as an engineer?
I agree with Arwin.
I would not have had an issue with him if he did not sit in his videos and telling people he's a professional engineer. He's licensed in Florida. He's licensed in, I believe, North Carolina, and maybe one other state.
But he is.
Yeah, but
no, if he had,
hold on, everyone, hold on, George. You just said you don't like him saying that he's an accredited engineer. He is.
I don't see how this applies
Hold on,
to his profession.
Arwin!
No,
sure,
you can't
I'll just repeat
do that.
it. So, George, you've just stated you didn't like him saying he was a professional engineer, and he is.
Say what?
I'll say it a third time. You said you didn't like him stating that he was an engineer, and he is an engineer.
Oh, that's fine. You can say you're an engineer, but
you said I don't like that he's stating he's an engineer in a YouTube video, and he is an engineer. You've just contradicted yourself and said, well, that's fine. You can state that you're an engineer.
Oh, he did much more than that.
Yeah, but so based on the fact that he's stated he's an engineer, and he is, you have decided to contact him based on your disagreement about his YouTube content. That's what I've got so far, George.
Well, he's used content with misrepresenting the profession of engineering.
But that's not what the rules say. That's not what this rule says.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Let's face it, if he was a Glober, that phone call would never have been made. It's a prejudicial phone call.
This rule states a professional expression. That means that when he is actually being an engineer, in his profession, he's being paid to do an engineering job, then he can't do that. That does not imply that he can't just express his opinion and share that he is an engineer. That's
fine. No, I have no problem with that.
That's not what you said. You said, I don't like him stating that he's an engineer on a YouTube video. Now you're saying that's absolutely fine. So why the contradiction, George?
There is no contradiction.
You said specifically, I don't like him stating that he's an engineer, whilst referencing a YouTube video that is made. Now, given that Arwin has pointed out in a few minutes, after having all the documentation only just fresh and on the spur of the moment for Arwin, he has found a completely contrary point to what you are asserting. Now you're saying that's good and well and fine. Well, you're completely contradicting yourself.
No, I'm not contradicting myself.
You said, I don't like him stating that he's an engineer?
No, that's not what.
That's what you said. Those were your exact words. That's what you said verbatim, and I interrupted you and repeated it to you verbatim.
I mean that he's a professional engineer.
He is.
He is
He is a professional engineer.
But he's misrepresenting himself by...
No, he's not. He is a professional engineer, and he is perfectly entitled to state that. You said, I don't like that.
No.
He also
Yes.
said
I am horrified by the competency that the lack of competency that he demonstrated in these videos.
Not in his professional life. Didn't you listen to what Arwin just said, you complete dingbat? Arwin, please can you repeat what you have just said so George can actually listen to it, if he can shut his mouth long enough to actually listen? Yeah? Not on a YouTube video, George, in his professionalism, in his career. Not on a YouTube video.
But he used his profession to try
No, he didn't. He stated his job, and he is perfectly entitled to do so. You just didn't like it.
No, he was...
Yeah, you said, I don't like it. I didn't like that. Yeah? You didn't like him stating that he was an engineer whilst holding a different belief to you about the shape of the Earth. That's the issue here.
No, the issue is that he was using his license and his professional standing to give a sense of authority to what he was doing when what he was doing was wrong.
I don't see that as a violation of the rules.
But that's
Right.
only in your opinion, George.
He's not listening to
No,
you,
it's
Arwin.
not my opinion. I demonstrated
Arwin, maybe if
that in my
George can shut
video
up long
that he
enough.
was totally
I doubt he
wrong
can.
on
He's got verbal
episode-
diarrhea at the moment because he's
and
on the
I could've
ropes.
gone
So
ahead and
George
done it
probably
for
won't be
all
able
his
to
other
contain
episodes.
himself and stop ejaculating.
just did it
When
for
will
the
you
one.
stop ejaculating? Thank you. Arwin, please can you repeat for George what you have just said?
Okay, bye.
Right. So,
Oh, George has dropped. George has decided that the heat has got too much and that his dislike of Brian Mullen stating that he was an engineer and is an engineer, that just wasn't to George's satisfaction. He just didn't like it.
Nathan.
Brian Mullen, when he made that video, he did not do so as an engineer. That was his private video that he made. Has nothing to do with his profession.
Like we said,
Yes.
what does
Sorry,
Kepler's
George.
hold on? What does Kepler's third law have to do with engineering? For
Nothing.
crying out loud. What is he
Nothing.
going to have? Bridges orbiting other bridges?
Nathan,
Unbelievable.
can you share my screen, Nathan? I just want to give
You
a
are.
comparison direct to what George did.
You are.
To what I'm on. Right, so
George played himself.
all solicitors in the UK are all governed by the Solicitors Regulation Authority. And all you've got to do is search in for SRA Code of Conduct. And in the SRA Code of Conduct, and everybody can click on it, there's a handbook. And in the handbook, this is the guide to every solicitor. Everybody gets the same one, right? And in the handbook, you can go through all of the chapters, and it talks about every single part of it. And I mean, it's self-explanatory, but to read it is complicated if you've never read it before. But in essence, you have main principles at the beginning that you have to override. But if George really was an engineer, he would know the authority that he's looking for. He would know the document. He would know the exact page, the exact citation for the exact claim he's about to make. And if it was the case that, in this case, you must uphold the rule of law and the proper administration of justice, if he felt that Brian didn't do something, he would be able to cite it precisely, immediately, without umming and ahhing, upping and downing. And
He did say it.
He did state it, and he was absolutely wrong.
No,
The
hang on.
rule specifically stated that
What he
when
did-
actually working within
Arwin,
your profession,
what he
then
actually did.
it applies. When you
Arwin,
make
what he
a
act-
YouTube video, it does
Arwin.
not apply.
Arwin, calm
Look,
down.
look, guys,
what he
guys,
actu-
just keep it.
what he
Just everybody,
actually
hold
cited-
on. Everybody, take a breath. George is now gone. There is no need for this to be a heated conversation. Let's keep it civil, one at a time. I just want to round out nice and calm.
Well, what he actually did was cited a page from a university webpage, and that is not the citation that you would be doing if you were trying to ring the regulatory body. You would go to the regulatory body, you would find the exact code, you would go to the exact principle, like I've just done here. And if you were an engineer, you would know that immediately. There wouldn't be any of this and ahhing. You would go to it exactly because you know exactly where it is, where to look, what to look for, and pin it off immediately. And he did not do that. So I've got to question the credibility of George as a witness in the first place, because he couldn't do that. He went to the wrong citation. It's ridiculous that.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're correct.
Exactly.
But not only that, he
It's
went to the
worse
board,
than that.
and the board didn't reprimand the man for anything.
Correct.
How right was he in going to the board in the first place?
Wrong.
0%.
Completely wrong.
0%. It was willful. It was malicious, intentional. The guy is a rat. For me,
but he also
Yeah.
purposely misinterpreted that rule that he actually used, because that rule only applies when he's actually working within
a
his
client.
profession.
Yes.
And he wasn't,
Outside
because
of
he was
that,
making a
it's his
YouTube
private
video.
life. Yeah, that's private life.
Definitely outside of his profession, because A, he's not being
Exactly.
paid, and B, it's on YouTube. I mean, how unprofessional can you be? We're all a bunch of drongos, right? You can't have it both ways. You're either a moron on YouTube or you're a professional. You can't have it both.
Well, he said
I think
he said
I
his
think he just
disagreement
heard
was
something he didn't like, and said, "I'm going to find a way to get this guy to shut up."
Yeah.
right. But remember,
Sometimes
he
I think-
brought up Kepler's law twice. That was his main point. And then he said, "Oh," and then there was some other stuff.
But hang on, he actually said ethically, though, not competence. He originally stated ethics.
Right, and he's
Yeah,
attaching it.
because that's how you get somebody in trouble. When you bring it to he
But
can't
if you
just
think
come out
about
with a
it,
video and say, "Oh, this guy's wrong. I gotta," because he said he countered his argument in videos that he made, right? So he could have stopped there, but he didn't want to. So he had to go to the ethics, because that's how you get somebody in trouble.
Yeah, which is a pussy move.
Yeah.
Well, we have
but it
the
also shows what
RAT word.
It shows what that did, though. It shows how much power there is on both sides.
Can somebody please tell me what does Kepler's third law have to do with engineering?
Nothing.
Thank you.
He probably could even tell you.
No, that's all he had. He had no other examples besides Kepler's law. He didn't
Well,
say
give him a
anything
week
else.
or two, and he'll find a citation for it or create one.
But remember as well,
he played himself.
I'd like to summarize what this guy basically tried to take Brian Mullen down on a technicality, and he got it wrong, because that rule that he used, whether it be a legitimate rule or not, states clearly that it is only when somebody is working within his profession as an engineer, not just referencing to being an engineer. When you're actually working as an engineer, then you cannot do this. And he was simply making a YouTube video, so it is a complete fallacy. It is
And
a
being that
total
he is actually
misinterpretation.
an engineer, he is actually allowed to say he is an engineer.
Yeah,
He might
you
not
can
be
say that.
saying- he-
Doesn't have
Yeah, of
anything.
course,
It-
because that's
I
what he
think
is.
an engineer can
doesn't
actually
automatically
go to
mean that you are then working as an engineer. It just
Yeah, and
it's just a background reference.
I think if an engineer was spotted at a go-go bar with topless dancers, I don't think there'd be an ethics violation there either. You know,
They'd be asking what was the address they want to go, right?
Yeah, really. Yeah, they'd want to know.
George has just said in chat, I could give you several examples, but it's hard to talk to this group.
No, it's
I
not.
don't see how it was. We gave you the entire hour and a half to find some stuff.
He's exposed.
We
He's
stayed
even like
exposed.
3-4 good minutes of silence just
Minutes
to
of
find
Say
out
what
what
he
he needed
wants.
to
Who
find.
cares? Yeah, I'll tell you what. One thing for sure. After this hangout, I need to take a shower.
Well, the guy's a rat, you know. I'd get some rat traps out with some cheese.
He's a rat.
You'll catch a
Well,
George.
You learn from these
I don't think
experiences,
shower
and you
would
can
wash it off, man.
you can apply them to future people that you talk to, and you'll just know it right away. Oh, you're a stuttering staller. Like, we get it. We know what you're doing. You can't find the evidence, so they'll just, drag you into it, and you'll break it.
And let's be
Pointless.
honest, the only reason why anybody would try and make that phone call would be for nefarious reasons. It's
Absolutely.
not done with good intent.
I agree with you, Ellie.
Exactly.
The term is vexatious. The intent was willful and to hurt. It's liable.
And
You know,
we gave this guy.
The fact is, I think in law, if they're both in the continental USA, if Brian Mullen saw this film and talked to a lawyer, he could possibly have a civil case.
I agree.
Honestly,
He should.
absolutely. He's been damaged, and this guy admits he willfully did it. Whatever his
He actually tried to
justification.
get the proof out of him, and he couldn't present any.
No, this would be a good film for Brian Mullen to see, especially if he has been damaged by this guy.
And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you hated the show, then you know exactly what to do. But if you like the show, maybe consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing if you have not done so already. Do share. Yeah, please. Share it wide and far, far and wide. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!